is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air, every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite, sharing love in the metazone, light in the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Together we rise, together we inspire.
Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome once again for episode 25 of the Planet B podcast, Gaining Independence from Colonialism 2.0. Dr. Rao, here we are.
Colonialism 2.0, I mean, some people believe it's colonialism 3.0, 4.0, whatever, because there are several versions of colonialism that has been going on. But I call it colonialism 2.0 because you have a formal abolition of colonialism. There's independence given to all these nations. But then I noticed that there's still colonialism going on. So then I asked,
Right.
so how is it going on still? And when you start analyzing, then you realize it's the same mechanisms of control that were used in the past. It's just being done through remote control now.
When you gave your presentation to me, this was really, really eye-opening. So as we begin, could you please start with your opening quote here?
Yeah, this is from Helena Golinga, who said, "We need more than a green transition. We need a new system that puts people and nature first."
Hmm.
Right now, we have a system that puts profit and power first. This is why it's still a colonialism. It's still colonialism 2.0 because we still have profit and power first. Even when nations are given independence, they are still controlled through the currency mechanism, through some other mechanism, the price controls, through subsidies and various ways in which control from the mother country to the colonized country still continued. During colonialism 1.0, a lot of institutions were set up in these countries, like the education system, the forest system, the governance system. And when the colonizing power left, the system stayed behind.
Hmm.
Okay. They just were replaced with different people, local people administering the system. And then the currency was tied to the mother currency through an exchange rate mechanism. And through that, it was still being controlled.
What exactly is colonialism?
Colonialism is one tribe, let's say, goes and go conquer another tribe, and then he imposes the culture of the conquering tribe on the conquered tribe. Say that everything that the conquering tribe did is superior to everything that the conquered tribe is doing, and therefore get them to change to become like the conquering tribe.
Hmm.
Okay? So that to me is colonialism. You tell someone that your culture has to be erased and you have to start using our culture.
In this chapter, you take the reader through what happened during what you call colonialism 1.0. Could you just give a nice outline of that, please?
So colonialism 1.0 in India happened initially through the English East India Company. So English East India Company was a private company from the UK that came and conquered India and basically owned a lot of India. Okay? And they were very brutal. The stories about how they used to starve people and make them grow poppy because they were heavily into the opium business. They were basically dealing drugs in China and other places. And other addictive substances. So it started off with opium and then it became tea, sugar, anything that's addictive, they were in it. And they were promoting it. And then when the people rebelled, so there was a war of independence in 1857 in India, and the company could not quell the rebellion with their own troops. So they had to go and get help from the British government to come and quell the rebellion. And then there was a transfer of power to the British government. And when that happened, at least it was a transfer of accountability. We have records from when that happened to when India got independence. There are parliamentary records that you can now go and read to understand what happened. And in the parliamentary records, you notice that between 1857 and 1947, in 90 years, 1947 is when India got formal independence. During those 90 years, they had engineered 25 famines.
25. Wow.
25 famines, and over 60 million Indians died of hunger or hunger-related
Jeez,
causes.
that's crazy.
And these famines were a means to control the population. Because when people are hungry, you can make them do things. Okay, you can make them migrate to different countries and become laborers in different countries. So as the interests of the empire was far-flung, they had interests in Fiji, they had interests in the Caribbean, they had interests in India. India was the crown jewel because India was a source of labor
Hmm.
for all these other colonies. So they would bring Indians from and migrate Indians to the West Indies to do the sugar plantations or whatever, right? And same with Fiji. So a lot of Indians are now in different places in South Africa and Fiji in the Caribbean because of the migrations that happened during colonialism.
All
That
right.
was mainly engineered through famines, right? And as a result of those famines, all the Indian population that could not store fat easily died off. So only those who could store fat easily survived these famines in general, okay? Because then they could eat through their fat cells when they were hungry. And as a result, there was a genetic selection of only those who could store fat easily. And now modern Indians have access to lots of fat. They have access to lots of food, and they're eating it and they're getting sick very, very fast. So Indians are 25% of the world population, or South Asians in general. It's not just Indians. Indians, South Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, they were all together, in this colonial era. And South Asians are 25% of the world population, but 60% of the heart disease patients.
Wow. And Dr. Rao, in that earlier time, something you mentioned to me before too was that when the British came over, at that point in history, people of India, everyone had enough food. Everyone,
Right.
I believe you said, just got food for free.
Yeah, literally no one paid for food because you could just go to your neighbor and eat. We always had this culture that a guest is like God and you have to feed him,
Mm,
right?
it's beautiful.
So you knew that if you didn't have food, someone else will have food. And there was plenty of food. I mean, I don't know if you go to a tropical country, you'll see, fruit trees everywhere because the seeds are falling and the soil is so fertile that new trees are born. There's abundance. And when you have abundance and there's no hunger, it's very hard to control people. So how do you control people? Then basically what the government did was to tax people. And I think this is not the government. It originally started with the English East India Company. They would
Mm,
tax people in the same grain, right? So that you're forced to grow monocultures, huge fields of rice or huge fields of wheat, because they would tax you in that grain. And they would take the grain. So they had these district collectors in every district of India. And they built these trains that would go and collect the grains and take it to warehouses and store them. And basically it was used as a means of control for the population. Because when you have to grow the same grain, you become dependent on transactions,
right,
right, for
right,
your food. You cannot keep
right.
eating the same thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. So now you state in this chapter that we're living in colonialism 2.0 today.
Right, right.
So what does that mean?
So I calculated that, in India, so 60 million people died in 90 years through hunger. That's about 750,000 people per year on average. Today, worldwide, 9 million people die of hunger every year.
Wow.
Okay. 700 to 800 million people are going hungry at any
Gee,
given time. It's the same people who are going hungry most of the time, right?
right,
So they die off from hunger. Now, on the other side, people are overeating. They're being given all the wrong foods and they are made to overeat. They're basically induced to overeat so
right,
that they get sick. Okay. Because when they get sick, they take all the money out of their wallets and hand it to someone to overcome the disease.
right.
The system is set up in a way that, giving money to people as salaries, and you're trying to take it back from them before they die. It's a
Yeah.
game we are playing, right, with the money
Mm,
system. And so even those who are the colonizers, the colonizing population is being exploited in the system,
right.
right?
Yeah,
In fact, they are dying faster than the people who are dying of hunger.
it's true.
The
Yeah.
people are dying of overeating, are dying at the rate of about 30 million per year,
Wow.
okay, from chronic
Wow.
diseases. And if you look at, like you say, America is colonizing the world, but look at Americans. Americans are a very sick population.
Yeah.
Nearly 80% of Americans are overweight or obese. And Americans are popping roughly half the pills that are being created on the planet. America is only what? 5% of the world population. Okay. So the pharmaceutical companies are looking at it as a growth potential in the rest of the world. They're saying if we make everyone consume pills like Americans, we can increase our revenue by a factor of 10. Simultaneously, Americans are getting sicker and sicker year after year, and our healthcare premiums are going up and up. So we are all being exploited in the system. It has to be completely rethought, is what I'm saying. No one is to be blamed for this.
Right.
Everybody is suffering. Everybody is suffering in the system.
What is the solution to colonialism 2.0? What I learned through this podcast is how we're stuck in this system. The volcano is ready to blow, like it is ready
Right.
to change. Where do we
Right.
begin on this process of evolution to planet B?
I mean, the foundational step we need to take is to create hungerless communities that are
Yeah.
designed for health from the outset. So don't lie to children in schools. We change the education system for that and give them healthy food, honestly healthy food, which is whole plant foods for free.
All right.
So create the environment that India used to have before colonialism.
Exactly what
Right?
I was thinking. Yep.
Yeah. If you create that environment, then people are able to think clearly. People know that, the government is not out to get them, that the government
Mm.
is on their side. So you really have to create a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Honestly, people are so cynical now. They expect everybody to con them.
So true. Yeah.
And so we have to have some systems that are created that people can begin to trust, that those systems are meant to heal people. That, like lifestyle medicine. When I see someone as a certified lifestyle medicine doctor, I certainly feel a lot more trust. So that kind of system we have to create for everything, not just for medicine, for engineering, for governance, for supply chains, for everything. You have to create a system in which trust is built in and create an example of a hungerless, healthy society. If a small city does that, that becomes a planet B fulcrum.
You think it needs to start with a small city, like just running this planet B systems evolution?
Well, small communities, lots of small communities experimenting, but the goal has to be this: health, hungerlessness, well-being of all. We can tell you how to create systems that would implement that. That's what I do. I'm a systems engineer. I can tell you what kind of systems you have to build. For instance, for a hungerless system, make sure that there is healthy food freely available in specific locations. So how do you get that? Well, create supply chains for vegetables and grains to get there and have a volunteer force that can cook healthy meals and make it available. Because I calculate that if you cook meals in bulk, like I get a meal, now every day. I'm sitting in India working on my new book. I get a meal sent to me, a whole food plant-based meal sent to me every day. And I don't know what's coming to me, but every day is different and every day is delicious. For me, it's like, oh, what do I open it and I see, surprise. This is what I
Yeah,
get today.
it's like a little gift.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I think you need to have that kind of playfulness
Mm.
simultaneously and health built in. So this is oil-free food I'm getting. So I feel good when I eat that.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about lifestyle medicine? Because in the last chapter, we highlighted the issues of the medical industry, how it's kind of like a drive-through fast food restaurant. What is the difference with lifestyle medicine? What does that system look like?
So lifestyle medicine, in some of the doctors who had woken up to what was happening in the medical system, they decided this cannot continue and they wanted to truly heal people, which is why they got into medicine in the first place.
Right.
So they wanted to understand root causes and then create prescriptions for lifestyle changes. So there are 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine and so on. And that is a system level transformation that happened. It's no longer about maintaining diseases, managing diseases, and treating symptoms. It was now about addressing root cause. Same thing has to happen in the systems of civilization itself.
Mm.
Okay? So this has to be re-engineered. Now this is a systems engineering problem.
Right.
So I'm saying engineers have to get involved in the lifestyle medicine for the planet. On a planetary scale, the pathologies are all happening because human engineered systems are in conflict with the life support systems of the planet. So if you want to create the lifestyle medicine for the planet, it won't be doctors doing it, it will be engineers doing it. Because you have to create supply chains that bring healthy food to every place. You have to create transportation systems for that. You have to create, refrigeration systems for that. I mean, everything has to be geared towards creating systems that heal people, that heal the planet. You have to create systems that minimize the effluence of toxic waste. So you have to re-engineer everything for health. Right now, we have been doing it all, assuming that the earth is an infinite sink for toxic waste and an infinite source for resources. That assumption is no longer valid. That's what I'm pointing out. And then we have to rethink all our engineering processes for the new situation that we're in.
Yeah.
So that will be lifestyle engineering for the planet.
Sounds like a new book.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. A guide to Planet B. Yeah, looking at these systems and figuring out what are the goals of the system as it is today and how should the goals be changed. Because once you figure out what the new goals should be, there are engineers who can figure out how to meet those goals. So we have processes for doing that.
Yeah. So it's an exciting time because these changes are happening. We're seeing it, and the solution is there. People are waking up to it. So holding Mother Nature's hand, and we're just along for the journey.
Yeah. No, Mother Nature is waking us up and saying, hey, wake up. You're no longer this infant who's wailing. I want more. I want more.
Yeah. So true.
So we have to get up, get off our diapers and start putting on our own underwear,
No more Pampers.
No more Pampers. And start behaving like we are part of the family and that we can help each other, help the other animals come back.
That's
And
beautiful.
help the planet come back.
Yeah. So Dr. Rao, in this chapter, you also talk a little bit about the vitamin B12.
Yeah.
Could you share a little bit about the importance of B12 and how humans have changed the reception of it over time?
This is my hypothesis. Why didn't people figure this out before? And I noticed that throughout history, people have been trying this. They've been trying to go vegan. Okay, veganism is nothing new. Veganism was a concept that people thought of thousands of years ago. They called it something else. But then even Mahatma Gandhi, he tried to go vegan. He succeeded for 2 years. And then he got ill and his doctor prescribed him some animal foods, some dairy foods, and he got better. And so his doctor told him, you cannot give it up. You have to take some dairy foods all the time. Okay. So he started taking goat's milk. Okay. He had a pet goat. He would milk the goat and then he would take that milk every day. So I was wondering, why is that? Why did he do that? And how come I am able to do this?
Right.
I mean, Gandhi had so much more self-discipline than I do, right? In general. So then I realized that vitamin B12 was not discovered until the 1950s. And by the 1960s, they knew how to make it in the lab. Dorothy Hodgkins was a scientist who did that. Okay? And since then, we know that pernicious anemia, that was a disease that people used to get. And all the vitamin B12 deficiencies, you can see symptoms of that in what Gandhi was saying too, in his diseases. So my guess is that he was suffering from vitamin B12 deficiencies. People were getting vitamin B12 deficiencies when they go vegan. And when they take a little bit of animal foods, they used to get the vitamin B12. And therefore, empirically, people said, you have to eat animal foods to survive. Okay. So it became like this very important food you have to eat. And we have a tendency to think if a little bit of a food is important for us to survive, then lots of it must be great for us.
Right. Yeah.
We just go overboard, right? We don't
Yeah.
realize that there was a reason for it that caused it to happen. So I'm guessing that it was the vitamin B12 deficiency that made Gandhi go not vegan anymore.
Hmm.
And today we know about vitamin B12. We know that there is deficiency in the soil itself. Most of the vitamin B12 that we manufacture in the labs are being fed to our farmed animals. And
Jeez.
then we are eating the farmed animals, saying that that's the source of vitamin B12 for us. I said, why don't you cut out the middle animal and take it directly, which
Right.
is what vegans do. So I take my vitamin B12 daily, and I haven't had any issues. Okay, so I've been a vegan for now, what, 17, 18 years? And even though Gandhi could only do 2 years,
Yeah.
right? Because we now know about vitamin B12. So this is why I believe that in every festival, in every culture, whether it is in the Middle East culture or European cultures or Asian cultures, in every festival, we celebrated with animal foods. Okay. And then we made sure that everybody got fed some other animal foods. You're expected to invite everyone and have a feast together.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is how our ancestors ensured that everyone had access to some vitamin B12 a
Hmm.
few times a year. Okay. And this was good for society. Now, knowing about vitamin B12, we can create the same kind of festivals, but we don't have to use animals as the center of those festivals,
All right.
right? We can free the animals and we can have feasts from, plant-based feasts and take a vitamin B12 pill.
Right. 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 And you mentioned, Dr. Rao, before as well that our relationship with vegetables has changed tremendously because previously you mentioned we could get the B12 just from the bacteria in the soil, which, uh,
Correct.
so could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, before we started washing the food, we could
Right.
get it from the vegetable directly. If you take an apple from a tree and eat it directly, you'll get some soil in it. Because the soil is being blown by the wind and it's sitting there on the apple, right? But if you take the apple and wash it and then eat it, you're not going to get the soil from it. So as a species that washes its food, we started getting B12 deficiencies. And
Mm.
then we got into this culture, right? Now we are discovering why this has been happening to us. And now instead of eating the soil directly, which soil does not have B12 anymore because the soil has been killed also, I say take the B12 tablets, continue washing your food. You don't have to go back to eating
Yeah.
soil with your food, right? And let's sort this out, make the soil healthy again. And then if you want to go back to eating food without washing them, then that's up to the next generation to figure that out.
Right. That's wonderful. So, Dr. Rao, as we wrap up episode 25, Gaining Independence from Colonialism 2.0, would you like to share a closing message with our audience?
This is not a chapter about blaming anyone. It's about just understanding what has happened and how we were all victimized by these systems and how we can now free ourselves from these systems. So please look at it that way and come along for the journey.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rao. Thank you to our viewers today for joining us for episode 25. And we've got another great one coming up because episode 26 is the Oxford Union debate. And again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where normal got redefined. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.
Bram. You have to unmute.
Try
Yes, you
now.
unmute. Yeah.
I know.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see you, but there's something on the computer which I didn't make a mistake. Um, yeah, it's very, very illuminating what you said. That I think one of the belief systems is that everything happened for a reason. All what we have learned, and even this B12, that is, we had to need a chemistry to get the pills out, although we don't like pills. And so it's very wonderful if we realize that everything is for a reason, and that we have a role to play. They didn't do anything wrong. We did wrong things, but we were not wrong ourselves. We didn't know. I think that was Thich Nhat Hanh said also, you need understanding of what is going on. And I think you have done that with your book, to get understanding to the people. But nobody wants to read it. They think it's too complex, although it's actually very easy in a sense. So I think I would like to write a book also on science, how scientists have helped. Because, for example, Newton, one of the famous physicists, at the end of his life, he even thought that astrology was important, but he didn't wanted anybody to know. And the same with Einstein. Also, at the end, he said he believed in afterlife and in God, but didn't want anybody of the scientists to know. So we should say this only after his death. So there's a lot. It is so wonderful that we can do. I don't know what your response is.
Yeah, I welcome you writing a book about this, that make it simple for everybody to understand. I'm trying my best. I'm not getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the book came just out a minute ago. I should write it. So it will take, I don't know, my lifetime. It's too short for that.
Yeah,
But
no, you wrote the physics of climate, no? So you can write.
yeah, because there's so many things happening which are just should happen in a sense.
Right, yeah.
And one thing I thought also that I saw a way now how we can approach people. We don't have to convince all people. I think we have to convince the people who are the leaders, like Spade and McKibben and Jim Hansen, who are now very much opposed to it. But we should be able to convince them with your book, I think. If we force them to read it, I don't know.
Yeah, the question is, how do you force them to read it?
Yeah. So, wonderful. Thank you very much. I think Binik has a contribute also.
No, I just remember when I was working with families, I mentioned that before, that if the resistance was such that we couldn't just directly meet what we felt needed to be shifted, then we would tell them to go on like that, because that's sort of their best way as they thought it and saw it, and they didn't like that. So in rebellion to that assignment, they did exactly what we thought they needed to do to get their family in order. And it's sort of like, it worked. The basic resistance in people, I think, that resist. And so say, okay, go on and you can find out for yourself, Yeah.
Now, maybe it is Mark Rutte, a Dutchman, who influenced Trump, I think, just by praising him. I think you're a wonderful guy, you're a wonderful friend. And I think Trump sort of was helped them and got more in tune with not giving up Greenland to some extent. So
Is
a
that
small
Mark
thing.
Rutte for the NATO head?
Yes, yeah.
I
Mhm.
see. He praised him. I see.
Yeah, yeah. He
Yeah.
praised him very much. He said, okay, you're my friend.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Maybe you should call Jim Hansen and praise him and then give him the book.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, yeah. Thank you very
Between the
much.
two of you, I know you'll make them read it. So thank you.
Yeah, we have to put all our efforts to
Good. I think you're a great team to make that happen.
yeah, maybe we should say you shouldn't read it.
There you go. Give them the book and say, don't read it.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. Okay, good
Let me know
advice.
if let me know when you get that done. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Yeah.
Pooja?
Hi, Doctor. That was a very interesting observation that you made about Gandhiji, that maybe he was B12 deficient. I also always wondered why he couldn't survive being a vegan.
Right.
I have been a vegan for 12 years and I've actually not bothered about my nutrition much. I've not taken any supplements or alternatives. Now I think I should get my test done and start taking
Right.
supplements. I am not in my optimal health, so yeah. And one more thing I wanted to talk about is recently watched a documentary called Kakkus, which means toilet in the Tamil language.
Mm.
It was a very difficult documentary to watch, maybe as
Mm.
difficult as Earthlings. It it spoke about how people of lower castes are, kept in that vicious circle of doing the
Right.
manual scavenging job, and even though they don't have any dignity or job security, they're made to earn every day, and they're just kept in that's a form of colonialism that you were talking about. So there is this problem of waste management as well, which is
Mm.
a wicked problem in India. So, and I don't think just copying some Western technology can solve the problem. So
Right.
it needs
Right.
to get decentralized, and that
Right.
is that also a plan that we are thinking of in Planet B. Like how do people manage waste, their own waste,
Right.
including
Right. Right.
the human waste?
Yeah, there is have you been to Sadhana Forest in India?
Yes, I have.
You have? Okay.
Yeah,
Because they recycle the waste, they compost the
correct,
waste. And
correct.
it's a process, and volunteers do that. They just carry it over and put it um, in a mound and then cover it with sawdust and, and let
Right.
it compost. Yeah.
How would it scale up, like in cities or?
Correct. This is what I want to get all my engineering colleagues to start working on. I mean, not just this, but the entire system needs to change. You cannot have a system where you're taking waste and throwing it into the ocean,
Yeah, and it's
right?
somebody else's problem to deal with it, right? Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
that's not the right thing
And
to
make
do.
it someone else's problem. Yeah. It's so we have, to me, the environmental crisis is caused by engineers. Human engineering is in opposition to the life support systems of the planet. Okay.
Mm,
So human engineered systems are in opposition, which means engineers designed that.
mm. Right.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
engineers have to basically help in redesigning systems that are in alignment with the life support systems of the planet. So that's a completely different engineering education that needs to happen. So I'm proposing that we call a lifestyle engineering conference and get engineers to come along and help redesign that curriculum. Engineering educators to come along and help redesign that curriculum.
With
and
circular
to
economics principles.
because if you keep churning out engineers in the old system, they are going to
Mm.
design things that are going to destroy the planet. So
Right.
when will we stop? When will we re-educate them? I mean, we need a crash re-education program for all engineers, okay, in my opinion. And we need to completely change the curriculum in every engineering college so that it doesn't continue to assume that there is an infinite sink for waste on planet Earth and there's an infinite source for resources on planet Earth. It is no longer true. That
Right.
assumption is no longer true.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
everything has to be, we have to
Yeah,
create like cyclic systems,
correct.
circular systems. So we have to figure this out. I mean, there are, simple composting toilets available,
Mm.
right?
And a lot of wastage of nutrients as well, right? And polluting
Correct,
the water bodies
correct,
and the water requirements. There's so much related problems there.
correct. Yeah. I mean, the nutrients are wasted because there's an assumption that human waste is toxic, which
Yeah.
it is today. If you're eating animals, it is toxic.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not able to make that connection. Is it because of the meat? Or
Yeah.
what?
We are at the top of the food chain.
Mm.
Okay, because we are eating, literally we're eating carnivores, other carnivores, because we are feeding the animals also animal foods, farmed animals are getting animal foods. So literally we know that they did a test of all the breast milk of animals, okay, and it turned out that the breast milk of the Inuit mother
Mhm.
is the most toxic. It's a human breast milk, specifically of the Inuit mother, has been tested to be um, the most toxic among all the milks that we tested. So we know that we are at the top of the food chain and we get the most toxins. This
That's
is
because
why
of the
human waste. Sorry?
because of the bioaccumulation, is it? Like
Correct.
in the,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, they eat sea animals. And so that's where they're getting because of the bioaccumulation. And so, but do the Inuit mothers know that? Were they told? Or was it just some researcher doing the testing somewhere and then it disappeared, I mean, see, my granddaughter is part of the American Indian tribe near Phoenix. And their tribe, they were telling me that the CDC came to their tribe to test them for diabetes and all these things. They did a lot of research work with them, got their blood work done, etc., just to do research. And then they went and wrote papers about it. And nothing changed in the tribe. So they were saying, you did all this work, you tested us, but nothing changed for us. So what did you do with it?
Correct.
Right? So it's basically used as a test subject and not really done anything. They did nothing to remediate the problem.
Correct.
So now we have to remediate the problem, worldwide. And so I'm planning to convene a lifestyle engineering conference. I'm going to my alma mater, IIT Madras, and I'm going to be asking them to host it if they would like to host it. If not, I'm going to host it at Sadhana Forest or something like that. I'll find a venue to host it and invite engineers to come, engineering educators to come and discuss this openly. I mean, we are responsible for the life's planetary boundary transgressions. And we are the ones who can fix it because we are responsible for it.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to be coming to Bangalore February 1st through 3rd. I'll be there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm in Bangalore. Yeah.
Okay. So
Sure.
we have time, maybe we can catch up.
Sure. We'll connect. Thank you.
Thank you. Alison?
I lost you there.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. In this chapter, Sailesh, you talk about the number of people in the world who die of starvation every year. I think you said 9 million people. And I know that the countries, many countries, I think all of the countries keep track of their numbers to see whether they're improving or not. And many countries make efforts to feed people. They have different programs. But they're not intended to necessarily make people healthy. They're just intended to lower their numbers on how many people are starving.
Right.
So I was wondering, since on Planet B, we want everyone to be healthy. I was wondering, are there any examples of places where people are making an honest effort to make people healthy? And are there countries that are really not doing a good job? And what's the root cause behind the bad numbers in some countries?
Yeah, I mean, we're all stuck in a colonial system. It's the same colonial system. In fact, the English East India Company supposedly gave away all of their assets, which was India. You
Yes.
owned India. Here's a
Yeah.
corporation that owned India, and it supposedly gave it away to the British government in 1858. Now, have you ever heard of a corporation giving up assets like that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think is really going on?
They're
So
in
we have to-
cahoots. They're in cahoots with the
Yes.
British government.
Yes. They are the puppet masters behind the government. Okay. Now, if that's the case, then they're puppet masters now behind all the governments. Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's the same system of addicting people.
Mhm.
Remember, these were drug dealers. The original company was purely a drug dealing company.
Yeah.
Okay? They were basically using heroin, not opium, was their main product. And then they branched off into other addictive substances, right?
Mhm.
And what is the system we have today? It's about addicting everybody into compulsive behaviors.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whether it is eating bad food or getting stuck on your phones, it's all about getting us to be doing compulsive things, and then using us to go and extract from the planet to funnel wealth to the top.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're all stuck in this factory farm that they created, because essentially it was a factory farm then, it's a factory farm now. And we have to free ourselves from the factory farm.
We have to.
Free ourselves from
Oh,
the factory
yes.
farm,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now,
Yeah.
so it takes all of us, so I'm writing this book talking about how do we do this, the definitive guide to Planet B. How do we do this? And I mean, the insight I had is that it's really a reprogramming that we are doing to ourselves, right? As we reprogram ourselves. So it's like you do, so at any given point in time, you can use Planet A protocols or Planet B protocols.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
The more you keep choosing the Planet B protocols, eventually the Planet A goes into disuse.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you really have to create more and more people adopting Planet B protocols. So it's like an operating system shift that you're doing on the planet. It's the
Mhm.
same planet, it's the same platform, planet Earth, on which we've been running Planet A operating system, which has been killing the planet. And now we are creating Planet B operating system that's restoring the planet. Okay. And we have to adopt this. And as we adopt this, we all become developers of Planet B.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not users anymore. We are not the ones who say, give me the operating system, and here, I'll do what you tell me. No, you have to now become, we all are developers of Planet B. Right? And I think that decentralized approach to installing Planet B protocols is the best way to do it. Now, I'm going to go talk to leaders, okay, in Chennai. And I'm going to tell them, look, if you join, it'll happen faster. Okay? But if you oppose it, it's going to be harder for us to do it. But we'll all die. Is that really what you want?
Yeah.
So we have this choice as leadership. I say, this generation of leadership has a choice, a stark choice. Either be known as the leadership that lost their planet.
Yeah.
Or be the leadership that transformed the planet.
Yeah.
Those are the only two choices they have.
That's the only two choices. Yeah. I noticed yesterday an article, or a paper was published by the British government where they were acknowledging that there were 7 ecological zones of the planet that threatened the food system in Britain. One of them was the Amazon. So I don't think that got very specific, but they're starting to acknowledge the inconvenient truth of what we're doing. And as you were talking about governments being in cahoots with industry, I was reflecting on the food system here in Peru, where in general, people don't go hungry, people don't starve. And the government has a program to feed people. But I was just thinking in my head, yes, the things that the government gives them are things that are produced locally, which is a good thing, but they're not necessarily healthy. Like white rice, they give white rice to people. They give dairy to people. They give a kind of a light brown sugar. It's not white sugar. And they give fish. Those are all produced here in Peru. But those are the types of things. Those are the primary things that they're giving people that need help with their food.
Yeah, the Native Americans in America, they're getting a tub of lard, block of cheese, white flour. So this is what the Indian bread is all about. It's made with white flour and oil or lard, literally. And it's not good for them. That's why they're getting diabetes by the age of 10, amputations by the age of 30, and the life expectancy in their 50s. Okay.
Yeah.
They're literally being killed with bad food.
Yeah, bad food.
And the government knows it. Okay. So to me, it is, it's literally like it's a genocide is happening.
Yeah.
And we need to acknowledge that. We need to then, fix it. Right.
Yeah. This has been a conversation that's been going on for so long, the question of starving people in the world. And it seems like it's something that's like a pendulum. It gets attention and then it doesn't get attention. Then it swings back and it gets attention. Seems like now is the time when it's not getting much attention. And to see the numbers again, I think we feel like because it's not so much in our in the media these days about starvation, we tend to think, well, maybe it is getting better. Maybe it isn't a problem anymore. But
we also tend to think of starvation as just calorie deficiency.
Yeah.
Okay. People who have ribs showing, you're not eating enough, that's what you
Right.
think of as starvation.
Mhm.
But I see people who are eating the wrong foods and getting obese and overweight. That's also starvation
Mm.
because they're not getting the right nutrients. That's why their body is telling them to eat more and more and more.
Mm.
Okay, it's starving them of
Interesting.
vital nutrients, and
Yeah.
and it is endemic, right? Like
Mm.
like the USDA knows that 95% of Americans are not getting enough fiber.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hmm. Yeah.
And 90% of Americans are not getting enough magnesium, and there are a whole list of things they know.
Yeah.
What are they doing about it? Nothing. So they're farming all of us, is what I want us to understand. Don't
Yes.
think that it's only happening in Africa. It's all of us are being um,
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
impacted by the system. Okay.
Mm.
And they're starving all of us
Mm.
because it's their job to make sure that we have adequate nutrition.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why we created governments, right? So the governments can basically coordinate, activities of different people and make sure that everybody is taken care of. That's why
Yeah.
we have government. What is the point of governance otherwise,
Mm.
right? But they're not governing for us. They're actually being manipulated and turned into puppets for someone else who's making money off of us.
That documentary, They're Trying to Kill Us.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
good example because
Correct.
people are getting the wrong food. They're getting fast food. They're getting um, all the wrong foods, and they're starving to death because they're not eating food that will nourish them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this
Yeah.
conversation can go on for a while.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Thank you so much. Let's call on Brittany.
Sure.
She's next. Okay.
So the book was painting colonialism in a kind of bad light. And the thing is, the very people who caused all these problems in India is the very people who created veganism in the first place. So I just should we avoid colonialism at the sake of possibly losing veganism, or do you think Planet B might be colonialism 3.0, where you're introducing something like using colonialism, but maybe for good, introducing something that is from colonialism that will be used for helping instead of hurting?
Well, again, the narrative is that uh, veganism was introduced in 1945. Now that ignores thousands of years of other vegans who were there. Okay, and they were not in the Western countries. So it's only when when we get it from West, we think that's the origin of it, right? That again is a colonial narrative. Okay, people have been vegan for. I mean, the Hindu rishis used to go walk up the Himalayan foothills and meditate for the rest of their lives. You think they carried cows with them? You know, so they were the original vegans. And this is why Gabriel Cousins went vegan, because he said, all these rishis who went up the Himalayas to meditate, they knew that you had to stop eating animals. And so he went vegan because of them in the 1970s. Okay. So I'm just saying the narrative has to be that we are all in this together and we are all now taking this conscious step forward. The difference between what I'm proposing, Planet B, and Planet A is that Planet A is built around unconscious myths that we just inherited these myths, and they're all myths, meaning they're lies wrapped in a truth. or truth slapped in the eye. So basically, you're being convinced of something which is not true, but using partial truths. Okay? These are myths. And we have several myths that underpin the current system that I'm listing. And Planet B is, these are conscious axioms that you choose. So you write it down and you all agree to it. And if you say it's not true, let's discuss it. Why are you saying it's not true? These axioms. Axioms are the foundational truths on which you're building things. So I'm suggesting that we need to do a conscious design using things that we can all agree on. Okay? And when you write it down like that, every generation, anyone can say, well, that's no longer true. And then you can fix it, you can change it. Okay, because you know how you created the operating system of civilization. So I'm suggesting we need to do some conscious design of an operating system for human beings.
Well, it kind of sounds like if we bring veganism in, it would take colonialism and kind of need to be, undoing colonialism if it was already created by connecting what is being introduced to what's already there. So do you think that might be happening, the colonization?
I mean, colonialism just means that one set, a small subset of people say, everything I know, everything I do is superior to everything you're doing. And so therefore, you, you have to just adopt everything we do and kiss my boots to begin with, right? So that's what colonialism is. In fact, someone actually, anyway, I don't want to get distracted here, but it's all I'm saying is that no, we have to say the truth comes from all places, okay? And we have to put everything on the table and figure out what is the right thing to do right now, given the circumstances that we have. How do you solve problems? How do you solve this problem? And there'll be different opinions on it, and we'll figure this out, right? Some people will do one thing, some people will do other things. So I want a distributed system in which everyone has the freedom to choose what they want to do, but based on a few axioms that we all agree on. Okay. All right. Tammy, you had your hand up or no? Go ahead then.
Thanks, Sailesh. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Yeah, it's, the other thing that we don't talk very much about is to eat as close to the earth as we can. I mean, we do talk about it, of course we do, but it's just so important to just eat as close to the earth as we can so that we know what we're eating. And that, as we're changing to this non-colonial system where we actually believe we have to get most of our stuff at a store, because that's part of colonialism as well. Like, it's so easy to grow greens in our homes. Like, half of our homes, like, instead of just houseplants, we could just all be growing microgreens and have little growing towers. And it's so easy to grow our food indoors, even in the winter here in Canada. But yeah, it's very interesting because some of the people that aren't in food deserts, whether they're eating, it's a very interesting study because I hadn't heard that one. I just know that the SAD diet and people that are eating a lot of chemicals in their food system, when they test the umbilical cords of babies, and then the mothers go, like, there's over 200 neurotoxins, and a lot of them are neurotoxins. And then when they go vegan, organic, and eat as close, to their food source as they can, it's a handful. Like, that's how much it goes down. It's really, really significant. But I was thinking about you talking about the Inuit, and it's like, well, of course, because our toxins are stored in the fat, and they eat mostly fat. So those beautiful mammals are collecting all the toxins out of the ocean for us. Honestly, they're so forgiving. Like, it makes me want to cry that these beautiful mammals in the ocean are collecting the toxins so we don't die so quickly. Like, it's like everything is in our favor as humans trying to save us, honestly. And it's often the mothers and the babies, mothers and babies, mothers and babies of all of us, like including the human babies. And look what we're seeing with children now. Look at the autism rate, and look what's happening to our children as well, right? The children of all species that the grandmothers are speaking out for. They're being fed all these neurotoxins through the umbilical cord, like before they're even born. So yeah, to help, it's interesting because I know that I interviewed Honey, I'm trying to remember her last name, who started Mums Against Monsanto years and years ago. And when I was in actually Gabriel Cousins' program, or maybe just right after. And that's another way to speak to people if they're not that concerned about the animals, is the studies around the neurotoxins being and toxins, but neurotoxins going to the babies before birth, and that is the reason why. Zen Honeycutt, I think her name is, who started Mums Against Monsanto. That is the reason why she went vegan. I mean, so whatever it takes, whatever it takes for us to all talk about these babies of all species, including ours. And I just don't want to leave ours out because they're our babies, right? We want them to be born well so they can usher in this new world. They need to be well. They need to have brain sovereignty. Oh my goddess, right? They need to have brain sovereignty. So yeah. Anyways, I'm just super passionate about these little kids because there's so many that aren't well, like their brains aren't doing well. Yeah.
Thank you. The questions in the chat that I need to address?
I think one from Michael. Lifestyle engineering sounds more like a personal development thing, much less having to do with diet. The name of lifestyle medicine, although the American College of Lifestyle Medicine makes diet a large part of its education, I would naturally infer has diet as one of its numerous parts of the education. So I think a great amount of consideration should go into naming of the engineering school organization.
Yeah. Maybe it's planetary engineering, whatever it is. We need to fix our curricula, engineering curricula, because they're all being designed in, right? And these things are being designed in. We have come up with 350,000 different chemicals that the Earth had never seen before. And a lot of them are toxic. And we need to go back to the drawing board and see, for the same functions, can we not do the same thing without introducing toxins into the environment? Because if your motivation or objective function was always cost, then you'd say, okay, or novelty, because I get a patent out of it, right? And I can make money out of it. So the motivation is different, right? I mean, we know what happened with leaded gasoline. To avoid NOx in engines, they could have added alcohol instead of lead, triethyl lead or whatever they were adding. But they decided to add lead instead of alcohol because they had a patent on it. And they could make money for every gallon of gasoline you bought. And that's how you've basically coated the whole world with lead. Okay, or tetraethyl lead, I think it was. Anyway, coated the whole world with lead, and a lot of people died because of that. A lot of people had, brain injuries because of that. Okay? Because the objective function was not about the well-being of human beings. It was about making money for a few people. So systems are designed based on objective functions, based on constraint sets, right? And feedback loops. What kind of feedback loops you create within those constraint sets? So how do you constrain the solutions? So you have to stay under the light, and make sure that everybody, all solutions have to come within the light of profit, or you're given the freedom to choose how, where you look for solutions. So anyway, there are, we understand how to do system design. This is not something new, I'm telling you. Okay. So I'm just analyzing it from the lens of system design and say, this is why it is the way it is. And that's my job, that's my specialty, right? So I can analyze systems, figure out why they behave the way they do, and then tell you how to design systems that meet your objective functions. You really want world peace? I can show you how to do it. It's not that hard, but it's a different system. It's a different operating protocol. And I claim that world peace and planetary health go hand in hand. You cannot optimize for one, ignoring the other. Okay. So that's the new book I'm writing, and showing you why, these new, these processes work. And how we can operationalize this. Well, Michael had a question about when these interviews are recorded. We started recording maybe late in December, right? Late December.
Yeah.
Was it right after Christmas or something
Christmas.
like that?
It was right after Christmas.
Yeah. But then we were recording like 2 or 3 chapters at a time, per day, so that we had so we finished all our recordings last week. Yeah, late last week. So all 31 sessions have been recorded, and then there's a lot of work that happens after the recording. People have looked through. They have to remove all my hums and ha's and all my pauses and things, and make it look good, right? Ken?
I'm excited about your new book, the one you're working on. And this one also. I'm not putting that down, but I wondered, do you suppose that it seems like a huge idea, but do you suppose you could take 2 or 3 of your most catalytic systems and take them down 12 levels of detail or something like that, so that there was something that technical people could begin to be challenged to work on. I'm very thinking about issuing a challenge, not a conceptual challenge, but an actual structural challenge with 2 or 3 of the most catalytic ones.
Yeah,
maybe that's too much work. I don't know, but
right.
The thought just occurred to me what the power that would be at this point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one would be, create a hungerless city.
Okay.
Hungerless city meaning everyone has access to healthy food. Okay. So I consider obesity to be hunger. So, right? So everyone has to be healthy. Right? it's hunger there.
And then take that down, a dozen levels of detail.
Right.
Conceptually at least, but so that those who have the capacity to understand that can actually see, wow, this really can be done.
Right.
Because it's one thing to say it can be done at an idealistic level. It's another thing to say, oh my gosh, I can see that happening.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't need that much. Basically, you're creating like a community kitchen network within a city, and then probably even having like a big pressure cooker built into the community kitchen. There's a huge, you can build big pressure cookers, where you can cook enough for few thousand people at a time in a couple of hours, right? So, I mean, I've seen these things like you take vegetables and you just chop the ends off and stick them in there, and then he chops everything up, puts it in there, and it creates this khichdi, right? So khichdi making machines.
And you've got warehousing and the transport. This is what I'm at to 12 levels. And then you've got the crop production.
Right.
And then you've got the
Procurement,
technology to improve the crop production and So that you begin to get an idea that the complexity that implies is in fact doable. And not only that, but it's a huge amount. And when you begin to work those levels down, I don't know if levels is the right word, but you begin to work those levels down, it's a huge amount of employment. There's a huge amount of new creativity opportunity. There's a huge amount of capital needed to implement those things. The things that can attract people to the opportunity. It's the biggest opportunity in the history of the earth. The transformation is a huge opportunity.
In fact, there is the capacity for like the supply chains is already there, meaning a lot of the crates are coming in, they're half empty. You say you can fill them with the leftover organic vegetables that Walmart did not take. Why? Because they're the wrong shape. They don't look so good. Get them for free because it's sitting in a mountain there.
Ugly foods.
The ugly ones, right? Put them in this, and then you bring it to the port, and in fact, a lot of the shippers say that the owners of the crates will allow you to do it for free because it's empty anyway. Half of it is empty anyway. If they know it's for a good cause, they'll give it to you for free. Right? Provided you take it out before they come and get their stuff. So you have to have the logistics right. Because they don't want to be delayed in their thing. Yeah, I mean, just a couple of engineers together can figure this out and put it together.
Anyway, I was just having a thought of something that really catalyzed the attention of the engineers. Might be too technical for the average reader. I would love it, but but anyway, just a thought.
Yeah, in fact, Jamin is one. I mean, that's a good case study I could put in my book, because Jamin is working on something like that. He wants to do a hungerless city.
And to see the secondary, tertiary, the effects that flow out from that, and the just the raw possibility of it, and also the incredible opportunity that represents transforming at level after level after level. You were just talking about transforming the effectiveness of transportation. This is an example. I mean,
Right.
So many inefficiencies in the current system.
Oh, tremendous inefficiencies. Yeah. I mean, this is why Donella Meadows said 99% is wasteful and unnecessary. Yeah.
Yeah. You made an offhand comment today about decentralizing waste. And I'm working on the Delhi project, and I thought, aha, there's one of my themes for the Delhi project, decentralizing waste. It's just another way to say local initiative, but decentralizing waste is the driving concept there. Thank you. I just wanted to contribute a brainstorm.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. Yeah, that's a great brainstorm.
Hi, Dr. Rao. If we don't have time, we can continue this later, but it is a food-related question. So
No, we have an extra hour on Sundays, no?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have extra
I
time
mean,
on Sundays for questions.
you can ask any question you want.
All right.
I'm
Well,
prepared for that.
Good, good. Well, I am inspired by the Hungerless City, and I have been inspired by, I think it was in McKinney, Texas, where a mayor was trying to make the city healthy by Rip Esselstyn's book and everything. But one of the things now that I have been working with this city and watching Austin is that people are afraid that if you give too many free things away, more people will come. And that has actually not just been an unjustified fear. I mean, it's a fear, but our city will move people. Okay, we'll take you to San Marcos. Okay, we'll take you to Austin. They have the facilities for you. And people, if we were to somehow get our barbecue capital to have free vegetables and free meals, then Austin people would come in, because if people hear, oh, where's the free food? Where's the shelter? Now, that's not a bad thing to have if they can cover it. But I'm wondering how to solve that. And it just occurred to me, maybe to have some backup cities where you have these little triangle here. Okay, we're going to all try this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you've thought about that aspect of, oh my gosh, if we feed them, they'll come.
Right. I mean, we could say, this is an experiment we are doing, and therefore, you're going to be getting something on your phone that you need to show, something like that, to be part of the program, something like that. So it's just because we are trying it out, so that it's not something that everybody can come and say, I want to be part of it. I want to be part of it. No, it's an experiment, a minimum viable experiment that you're doing in a given area.
I see.
Right? So it could be an Ahimsa coin. You're an Ahimsa coin member, so you start getting that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that helps limit it, I think, if we say it's an experiment, and then maybe some other people will line up to do
Right.
an experiment too.
Yeah, we want to do the experiment too, right? So basically, you have to start minimum viable experiments on larger scale in Planet B. So that's what I'm proposing. So this way that you're trying to make the experiment, sort out all the issues that happen there, so that everyone feels like, I want to be there.
Right. See, we have Margaret with Where We Thrive delivering boxes, 75, and toward the end, if people don't come, then we have boxes left. So we're thinking, okay, who needs it? And I've just driven down the street with my the trunk up in the van and just giving it away. Now we have somebody else thinking of getting 50 boxes, but she said that's too many. She doesn't want to have leftover boxes. Nobody wants to have the leftovers, because especially with produce, it spoils. So we really do want to think it through and have some engineering solutions, some logistics figured out, so that it is a model that people want to come to, and not have boxes rained on while they're waiting for people to come get or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a cooperative. Oops.
Yeah.
There's a food cooperative in Chile that we're doing boxes, and the way they handled that was they gave out the boxes at the schools when the mothers were picking up the kids. So they took a place where people are already going regularly with transportation and did their distribution through those points.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
That's the concept. The concept's interesting, I think. The way the health system in Peru works, which is a free health system, is that you have to go to the clinic in your geographic area. And the geographic area is you have to have an electric bill from in order to get admitted into that clinic. You have to show an electric bill which has an address within that zone. Mechanisms like that might be a way that something could have some aspect of control on it.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Of course, that's sort of a bias against homeless people, obviously. So you'd have to have a way that you could offset that.
Right.
But yeah, the things that are geographically oriented already, like the electric bill, a phone bill, obviously doesn't work anymore. They're all
Right.
mobile.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking just something on your phone, because you register as a resident of that place. Yeah. I mean, this, the details can be worked out, but we have to begin that experiment. It's about time. Yeah. I'm hearing about, because what climate change does, what the ecological breakdown does, is that it amplifies all the existing tensions in society. It amplifies the food distribution problems. I mean, all the problems get amplified, and so you're hearing about Canadians preparing for guerrilla warfare with them. I mean, what is this? We've come to that kind of state now, right? So we have to do something on the other side that gives people the possibility that there is a way out of this mess that we are in. Because it's only going to get worse if we keep going that way. Okay? The more we stress the planetary boundaries, the more tensions you're going to find in human societies. Brittany?
I want to go back to the colonialism
Okay.
talks. I'm always about that. So you were saying that the veganism started way before
Yeah.
it was even in the UK.
Yes.
I would say yes. I would just say that the word vegan, the idea of veganism, I'd say started in the UK, but in terms of not eating animal products, that started uh, well over 1,000 years ago, probably around China and Japan. At least that's the earliest I've seen it. I know like tens of thousands of years there's like I think Jainism or something in India, but there was a lot of dairy even back then. I know
not in
your
the
videos
beginning.
were huh?
No, not in the
Yeah.
beginning. There wasn't. It was all introduced later, right? Saying,
Well,
oh,
that's
you
what I
have to
was
eat
trying to
animals.
say. It was more like 2 to 5,000 years ago. It was like the land of the Hempstead documentary. So like before that. Yeah, I don't know about that. I was reading up on it, but I'm just wondering if like the introduction of veganism is going to amplify that the knowledge and culture of that, to have that be brought about into prominence as being shown that's where it comes from, or is it going to be hidden in the light of veganism by having that be prominent
No,
to
look,
where yeah, there's no credit, and then veganism isn't taken up as much because what was there before is hidden.
yeah, look, I mean, when you do literature search or whatever, you're looking at English literature, okay? There's plenty of other literature around that is not even looked at. So we assume that the world is just English. Yeah. And we are saying that that's where all knowledge is sitting, and that's where we are searching. And it's a very colonial view of things. Okay. 5,000 years ago, I mean, how long have the Hindu rishis been going up the Himalayan mountains? How long have the Buddhist monks have been doing this? How long have the Jains have been doing this? I mean, Jainism is an outgrowth of this, right? I mean, foundation of Jainism is non-harming other beings. That's veganism 101. That's what they were doing right from the outset. And anyway, we see through the lens of English literature, you're going to get this as the way, okay? Because it's all been some of the things have been translated, it's been mistranslated. There's a whole bunch of mess going on there, right? So there's lots of indigenous knowledge about this that is not that's not taken into consideration.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's going to be brought forth and highlighted
Correct.
and shown once veganism is there, because a lot of veganism happened in the past that has
Correct.
been covered up by carnism, or is it going to be still hidden?
No.
With
Yeah, we need to bring indigenous knowledge systems back online and figure out a way to integrate the two. And I think AI will do that, over time.
well, will veganism do it?
Veganism is going to allow us to do it because it's going to switch the whole system around from colonialism. So
yeah, but isn't okay.
I mean, to me, colonialism, carnism, speciesism, racism, they're all in this together. It's just one ism.
Yeah, but isn't the veganism colonialism of that idea that comes from the UK?
Yeah, it's an appropriation of the idea. It's an appropriation of the idea, and then saying it all started in 1945. It didn't. It started way before that. In your world, it started in 1945. I agree with that.
Yeah, so how do we get away from the idea of colonialism with veganism?
You don't have to, no? Vegan is a definition, and everyone then finally acknowledges, okay, the English came along, the West came along in 1945, but they were doing it 5,000 years ago. They were doing it 3,000, whatever it is, and it's fine. We just acknowledge things as they are. Because eventually we are going to reach I'm proposing it's an open source system, meaning you don't go around saying I own it, I invented it. No, it just came through you. It doesn't matter who it came through. It's all out there for everybody.
Well, there's some philosophies that are kind of like past, as you said, Jainism, and there was also fruitarianism that was developed before veganism. The word. It's just back in, and when I look in the history of it, what we think about for these, they're not quite vegan. Like, but fruitarianism was kind of vegetarian. So I heard the Jainism too. So it's kind of hard to figure out which we're going to be tapping into that originally was there.
No, see, even Jain Munis, there are a lot of Jain Munis who were vegan, but they didn't go around saying I'm vegan, right? And ITAL has been going on for hundreds of years, right, in the Caribbean. I mean, we don't even acknowledge them. They've been doing it, right? And so similarly, there are lots, there are a lot of indigenous tribes in India who have been vegan from the outset. That's what they eat. Okay? And they live in harmony with nature. And there are tribes in the Nilgiri Hills like that I know of. Anyway, we discover them. Some anthropologist goes and studies them, and then we ignore and we move on. So I'd say it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's a good idea. Veganism is a great idea. Thank you very much for bringing it from the West. And now it's a solution for all of us. So we need to embrace it, no matter where it came from, no matter how we want to assign, ownership of it. Nobody's going to get a Nobel Prize for finding veganism. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you. Back to food. From colonialism to food. One of the things that concerns me is the fact that people may love the idea of having free food. Yay, that's such a good idea. It feels good. But we're going to add some meat in here. We're a barbecue town, or we're a this, or we're a that. And so I feel like the only thing I can think of is that we're going to have a really strong start with some vegans, at each location to help them understand that part. And then I think, well, what about the World Food Program? All the programs that are already going, some of them do focus, I think, mostly on grains and, grains anyway.
Yeah.
And legumes. But anyway, what are your thoughts on how, or do we even worry about that? We just do our next step and, if you
right.
talk about
no,
that.
I mean, whichever city does it has to have a campaign as to why they're doing it. They have to make it known as to.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not, and then if, you cannot force people not to eat something. If it's available, they're going to go do it. But it's going to be tough on all the restaurants in that area because everything is going to be free. So you have to take care of all the restaurant owners, So you have to there's a lot of work to be done socially, right? To create a minimum viable experiment like that.
Right. Our restaurants, I mean, I call them, our city promotes growth. Oh my gosh, we're growing. Let's get
Right.
another, what I call a get fat, get gas store. Because all those little gas stations, really, they make their money on get fat food, and they promote their restaurants. And so, right.
Yeah.
I'm willing to work on that. I'm here ready to talk about how to get my restaurants to give that up. So, do we need to have a meeting?
Yeah. Jamin has been saying, he wants to create this engineering project for hungerless cities.
Yes.
And so he's been working on a paper for it. So I'm waiting for him to tell me, I'm done with the paper. I want to show it to you. He keeps saying, I'll send it to you next week. So anyway, we'll get there, okay? We're
Okay.
sorting it out.
Okay. Well, I suppose on my small town, barbecue town, we won't choose this town, but it gives me the questions to ask.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'm
Yeah.
really think this is a fantastic idea. So, thank you.
Yeah. We need to begin somewhere, and we need to make 10 to 20 minimum viable experiments like that going on simultaneously, so that people's attention are focused on the experiments, not on the war that's going on, war that is being fomented right now. You know? We want to create like a positive thing that we are trying to do to solve the problem.
Okay. Yeah, we need that.
Yeah. And
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. Any other questions? I know there's a long discussion going on. I haven't been following the chat too much. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you. I just went ahead and brought myself up here. So as we are working on these solutions, we need to recruit a logistics person, a math person, a team to help solve these. It can't just be me here and Willow there and Margaret over there.
Correct.
We
No,
need
it
a
has to be.
larger team to get this, and we can't always just draw on Climate Healers. Climate Healers has so many projects. So what
Right.
I'm asking is, do we need to somehow focus on getting our local vegan geniuses to join us in some way? Is that maybe the next step?
Yeah. We have to basically create a plan for how you're going to do this.
Okay.
And then you have to then figure out how you're going to execute the plan. What do you need to execute the plan?
Right. So we need some marketing like Paige and Mac and people who can have all the words there so we can go in and say, no, there's cross contamination. We can't have meat. And no, we're going to have, and have all those words. Okay. Thank you. I see Willow coming on, so I'm glad to give up the spotlight. Or, yeah.
You go, BJ.
Thanks.
She is so passionate about food healers, and
Right.
I couldn't help but become passionate with her.
Right.
And she's asking a lot of questions that we've been asking in the past 6 months. And starting the new year, I'm redirecting my attention mostly to food.
Right.
And I think what I'm hearing BJ trying to find the words to ask the question is that, I immediately think about plant-based treaty. I worked on plant-based treaty for a year and I didn't get very far because we don't have people on the ground. I mean, it's not just the treaty that is grassroots, it's initiative from the ground, but so has to be food healers, right? So I started communications with a small church. They are Spanish speaking, so yay for me. I can be myself and connect with Spanish speakers. And I'm excited. And just a week ago, a woman shows up and she says, I want to cook the unity stew. And I'm like, yay. So the two of us are serving the unity stew on Friday, and the pastor at the Spanish church is opening the doors and inviting people. And she says, I think we're going to get 40 people here. And I'm like, okay. So we're doing it, right?
Good.
Yeah. What I feel that BJ is trying to get at is that just like Plant Food Treaty says that they want to do a lot of different things all at once. And one of them is, you know, when you go on the website, it's like this small team of very knowledgeable people can travel to all these different cities, goes handshake with the manager and start talking to them, and even go into the kitchen and help them learn how to cook and all of that. That's immense work. That is tremendous work that we need a whole, you know, troop of people on the ground to do their parts, right? And so I've talked to BJ about this. Food healers, if we can get some support in regards of maybe forming a small committee of 2 or 3 people, that it's not about getting the ideas. We have it down. It's more about who's going to do what, because now I have to meet with the cook, make sure she has no vegan training whatsoever. None of the people there have any vegan training whatsoever. Now, I've met with the church 3 times, and they're like, whenever, you know, and I use plant-based, I don't use the other word, the V word. And so it's just slowly getting into their heads, right? But education is so important, and I cannot give education classes and also fund the food. And now we're trying to bring in the 50 boxes. So it's just a lot of different things that we're feeling, that I'm feeling, that I don't have any support. I wouldn't do it without BJ for sure, but she wants to do this in her town, as you're hearing her say that. But she says, well, I'll fix and take it to your town if you need more food. But it's just 2 or 3 of us, and so I don't know. We just need more people on the ground. We need more people on the ground.
Like this lady who said she was willing to help cook, and you're saying she doesn't know how to do vegan, but she knows how to follow recipes, no? If you could give her a recipe and say, do this.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the steps are very small and very slow, because I will be meeting her on Tuesday in 2 days, making sure she understands brown rice versus white rice, making sure she understands that we are a no animal movement, making sure that her family really understands the amount of nutrition, so much that we learn here that we need to teach each and every individual, especially since they're so grabbing to the animals for their food. So it's just really immense, but not to say that we're not going to do it. It's just that somehow we look at Climate Healer and think, okay, Food Healer is there. What more can Climate Healer do for food healers? And are we being asked the question on the ground, local levels, what are the things that we need? So that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of blathering on how it is for us and what are the kind of things that we need. You know, Plant-Based Treaty, for instance, is not doing what they say they're going to do. I don't see them come here. I've been fighting with the city for a year to get them to sign a paper. They won't sign the paper. The one woman counselor said, I talked to my colleagues and nobody is interested. So I closed that door for now, and I'm just going to food the people that need the food. And in itself is really incredible, because everybody you talk to, you have to talk them into. I've already sent 2 letters to the food distributor in Austin, and she said, I'm sorry, we eat animals. And I wrote 2 letters about why that's not a good thing, and I haven't heard from her again. Right. So, you know, that's that. You know. Yeah. Sorry.
No problem. No, I hear you. That's the system you're fighting. Yeah. Go ahead, Brittany.
So we were talking about B12 in the chat because it was brought up in the chapter. And I was wondering if the B12 deficiency supplements are kind of part of colonialism 2.0, because a lot of, I personally am kind of starting to think that maybe the livestock is causing the depletion of B12 in the environment to lead to deficiencies in vegan foods, because the animals, when you think of where do they get the B12 from, it comes from the grass that they eat, the microbes in the soil, and the B12 can be on or even in the plant. Plants can absorb B12. So it might create this new dependency where, to go vegan, you can't get it from the plants anymore. So you have to go into the pharmaceutical industry to get the supplements, and then it creates a whole market of dependence and everything.
Yeah,
So do you think that's part of it? Yeah.
I mean, until we restore the soil, right? But right now, I mean, even the animals are being fed B12 supplements in the form of chemicals. So, and in fact, most of the B12 is going to feed the livestock, the farmed animal industry, than human beings right now. So we have depleted the soil so much that they are also getting it.
And I think it's because of deforestation and the disruption of the soil microbiome, because when animals are on the ground, they trample and then they compress the ground, and then it keeps the because the microbes are in the roots. That's how Impossible Foods got the hemoglobin from the bacteria. It's on the roots. Same with the nitrogen fixing ones, a lot of them. So they need kind of like pockets. They form in pockets on roots. So when you trample it, you're not getting those pockets, and then they're not going to be able to metabolize nutrients, let alone survive. So it might, do you think that B12 is going to be really an issue in a vegan world if we take out all the animal agriculture that leads to this hypersanitization, because animals are the ones that have some of the most pathogenic due to their guts that might not exist in a vegan world, and then that's part of decolonializing, right?
Could be good, yeah, if it works out that you don't need it. But right now we need it, so that's all I'm saying. Right now we need it. And we don't have to, because previously they used to call it pernicious anemia, and then say, people are dying because of that. We didn't understand why it was happening, right? And now at least we know.
Well, I don't think we need it right now, because a lot of vegan foods have B12. B12 is a biological molecule, so I feel like the idea that it's a supplement is kind of a scam, because it's not like a mineral where you get it from mining underground. It's something that is produced from, some food that you eat. So if you put it into a supplement, it degrades. So sometimes people try a supplement, but sitting on the shelf, it leads to it not even being there by the time they eat it. So it's like, if we just go back to thinking where the B12 comes from, and start to find those sources, then I see, once you start eating those foods, that the microbes, they go into your mouth and then your hands and everything, and then as you go from plant to plant, I guess touching them, because to pick them and everything, you redistribute it back. If you spit out seeds and everything, most of the absorption of B12, I heard, happens in our mouth. Then I would say you'd go back to putting the B12 bacteria back into the environment, but we've lost that due to mechanization of growing crops, mainly for animal agriculture, because they need so many of these monocultures just to feed the animals, because you need so much of the grain, the 40 kilograms for 1 kilogram, as you said. So maybe we'd be able to go back to redepositing the B12 that's lost in the soil if we go in a vegan direction, but it'd be probably more. You'd have to go back to like foraging or something else, right?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe we may have to, because things get redistributed, like the minerals, like cobalt needs to be in the soil for the bacteria to create B12. And if the ground has been depleted of cobalt because of whatever redistribution that happened, or whatever monocultures that we did, and we have to replenish it back, no? So
Yeah,
all of this needs to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of if you notice the difference between the livestock feed and then food that's for humans, the food for humans is more like picked food, like fruit and leaves, versus what's given to animals. Outside of grass, it's mainly grain. So there's a big difference in that for like hand picking versus machine. And so,
Oh, no. And see,
yeah,
I assure you that the animal science people make sure that the animals are fed everything they need in order to raise them. Okay. So they're taking really good care of the animals because they're going to be slaughtered and fed to people. Right? So making sure that they do grow fast. They don't care about the people.
well,
They're
because
not doing
they
that to
do,
people, right?
the livestock get supplemented because they don't care enough to make sure that they get it from the plants that they're eating. So I hear the part where they're saying like the carnists will, I believe artificially create the B12 deficiency problem. And then they say, well, we shouldn't go vegan because it's going to create dependencies on the pharmaceutical industry because we need to have the B12. So they tell people to stop, to not be vegan because you're going to be dependent on the system, even though the livestock also gets the B12. So it's like the carnism, isn't it keeping us from going vegan because of this colonial mentality with the bringing in livestock and, creating these depletions in the environment to where vegan food is not as nutritious anymore to say, hey, don't go vegan. Is there something like that going on, maybe?
Yeah, of course. And simultaneously, the majority of people who are B12 deficient are not vegan. So, most of the people who are B12 deficient are the ones who eat animals.
Right, the ones that are deficient, they create deficiencies for others, like vegans, so
Right.
no one can win. But yeah, I'll let it go too. Yeah, I do kind of get it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Pooja?
Yeah. So I was thinking that there's a lot of potential to grow food in cities as well, in balconies and terraces. But
Right.
the soil is still coming from somewhere else, or it is some soilless kind of food production like hydroponics, which may not be a sustainable solution. So, can we think of how to make this a closed loop with the nutrient cycling and
Right.
because soil is getting degenerated outside, and this also can reduce a lot of stress on land if people
Right.
start growing a portion of food in their homes themselves.
Right. So this is why we need to create closed loop systems.
Right.
This is why we have to re-engineer living conditions. We have to re-engineer everything, right, to create closed loop systems. Right now we have open loop systems. We are taking waste from human beings, putting it in sewers, taking it in sewer pipes all over to some plant, and then we are extracting all the solids from that, and then putting it in a landfill somewhere. And right, that's all open loop. So closing the loop is important. You have to figure out different living arrangements. That's why it's a complete re-engineering of life, human life. How do you create urban environments? It's a different urban environment altogether.
Right.
And this is why I'm asking engineers to come together and to teach people how to do this, and then figure out how to do this ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we don't
So
have all the solutions yet.
it can be a closed loop system in a small space. It can self-sustain. That would be,
Right.
able to solve
Yeah.
a problem to a large extent.
I mean, clearly, Sadhana Forest has shown you can create closed-loop systems like that. Even waste is turned into soil. And if you look at the total biomass of human beings, our waste alone should be able to restore the soil, because our biomass is double the weight of all the wild animals that lived 10,000 years ago.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of us, and but then when we eat toxic foods, we're creating toxic waste that cannot be used. So,
But it may be difficult to do it in a small scale, right? If it's just a small terrace or balcony, maybe in communities it may need to be done.
yes, we engineered, no? You
Yeah.
can engineer it so that it's you can create a
You know
closed
what
loop.
to put in.
Yeah. So imagine an engineered system, living arrangement where your waste is being turned back into soil.
Mhm.
So you have a steady supply of soil.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we have to think like that.
Mm. Thank you.
Thank you all. And, we're going to repeat this again this evening, and then tomorrow, please come back for the Oxford Union debate. This is episode 26.
The house is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air. Every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire. Ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise. This is your hour. Metafoodians unite. Metafoodians ignite. Sharing love.